understand from you an honest opinion. You moved the platform because, of course, TikTok was banned. Did your audience really follow you?
So I think the interesting thing was the fact that we didn't need to find a new home. I think the new homes found us. In fact, the moment the TikTok ban happened, I think for all of us it was one of a kind because we were wondering where that was going to go from there. But what happened interestingly was the fact that within about, and I'm not kidding, about 4 or 5 days, we had enough calls from multiple apps that we had never heard of, multiple companies that we had never heard of. A lot of them claiming to be some Indian, a lot of companies from the Silicon Valley. A lot of the companies, oddly, Google had reached out to me. Chingari also had reached out and we had spoken. So I think what happened for creators was the fact that we suddenly realized that there was a sense of we didn't realize how much commerce was dependent on the content that we were making, and I think that was the first revelation for people. But I think what was interesting about that ban and the way that it sort of took shape was the fact that I think it turned from being this huge, massively economic and financial hit that we perceived it to be at first to becoming something which deeply empowered us. Now, in a matter of it's been about a month and a half now since this ban came into play. Since then, we've actually been in touch with a lot of new companies, some startups, some international companies who've come on board to sort of get us on board as creators. And we realized that as creators, we actually came to a point where we could actually name a price and say, hey, this is how much I want to be paid to be on your platform. And I think that was the one interesting thing that a lot of people were very open about the fact that creators like myself were being paid a certain amount of money to be on these platforms, because why else would we be there? But none of these platforms, at least so far in my opinion, have been able to even remotely rival the popularity that we would get from TikTok. And most of them have not been able to rival the economics that TikTok lent itself to. I actually ended up launching my first brand called Nuske by Paras because of TikTok. I just literally 6 days ago have launched my second brand, which is called Stud Muffin. I'm going to be honest with you, as somebody who's a brand owner and an influencer, without TikTok, that is very difficult to do. Stud Muffin would have already made a huge profit if TikTok existed. But with newer apps, because the reach isn't that big so far, we're still finding a footing where we're wondering, where does one go from here?
Influencers as well the audience, both are somewhere left in the grey area.
100%. In fact, from what Aman was also saying, we keep talking about the fact that there were these 200 million followers. And I'm like, where are they? Because the fact that only a fraction of them have probably followed us across Instagram and Facebook. But the fact is, a larger number of people also and genuinely say, कि भाई TikTok बंद होने के बाद बड़ा time हो गया, because they haven't really gone on other apps. So the amount of time that people are investing on watching a lot of content on TikTok, they haven't really done that elsewhere. So the fact is, yes, Aman is absolutely 100% right, even from a practical aspect to saying, but these people haven't really found a new home, even as viewers, as creators for us, because the last part of the conversation we were having was about language and regional language. Somebody like me who was a journalist, who was an English presenter, a lot of the acting I do as an actor is on things like Netflix and Amazon. For us, I think the larger role that the language played was the fact that the moment I switched to Hindi and the moment we went regional, the kind of followers we got, the kind of content we made, completely changed. It completely grew. Also, to be honest with you, the kind of content itself that you make is dictated a lot by the language, and that is just the way it is. The other thing about TikTok is the fact that I think we all realize this is a very brief window that we have for these indigenous apps to come in. I'm already signed in with ZTV, which has got Hippie that they've launched. I hosted their press conference. I am one of their faces now. So a lot of creators like me have also been more discerning about which Indian apps do we want to be associated with. Hippie, of course, because it comes from ZTV. It's a big platform. So it worked for us very well. But the fact is, I think we still realize this is a very brief window of a few months. I don't think, and I think it'll be very naive to think that we've seen the end of TikTok. If you see the media reports, TikTok is not frozen hiring in the country. If you see, they're still paying their employees. 2 months is a lot of money to keep paying, which means that ByteDance is probably still talking to Indian companies. We keep talking about the fact that Reliance is looking at some sort of a deal there, which I don't know how true that is and what state it is in. But the fact is, I don't think TikTok is going to go away. And we're all... It's not just a way to watch. I feel also as creators right now, we feel like this is a brief window for us to make more money because brands want us on board right now. The moment TikTok comes, my honest, genuine feeling is that these other companies cannot compete with TikTok. You will actually see these companies also going away just as fast as they come into the picture. And I feel like that is just something we are coming to terms with as being a very
I don't think Aditya will be very happy hearing that. Aditya, how do you respond to something what Paras is saying? He's saying it's a very small window and TikTok is probably, it's a matter of months before it's back. Because, you know, I spoke to a lot of users, famous influencers who were on these platforms. And even post the ban, some of them continue to use or find ways to use these apps, probably via, VPNs, etc. So then do you think you have to be doubly aggressive? Because it's a very short window for you as well. If it's hit and miss, then probably the market will go back. Does that make you, as a platform co-founder, even more anxious about, the traction that you've seen probably is going to be very, very short-lived?
So I agree to, I agree to Paras's point where we said that we have a short span. Absolutely. I mean, In fact, if you can see from my dark circles, we all have been working 24/7, right? We are doing a year's work in weeks and months, right? And I mean, of course, as an entrepreneur, as a company, you would always want to make sure that you make the best advantage, you take the best advantage of this particular scenario. So that's how the world moves, and that's how.
No, I agree with you. The market is also always changing. The consumer behavior is always changing. They, of course, want new things to come forward. I was just being the devil's advocate here, but I completely agree with you. If you keep innovating and if you keep adapting to the consumer needs and you keep changing to the demands as well, there's enough for you to survive in the market.